If you look at the Democrats in Congress, they keep voting no. In the last election, hundreds of people who supported crypto won, and hundreds who oppose it lost. This is what I mean when I say putting crypto on the main stage in America. We know that people in the US want this technology. I think that Congress people age 65 and up don't fully grasp how important this technology is for everyone. Also, what are we doing in the US if the rest of the world is adopting it so quickly? I'm not sure if it's because Democrats don't know what to do or because they're trying to negotiate. Let me know what you think in the comments. Yeah, so let's talk about the IBITS shares ETF for Bitcoin. It's the biggest and most well-known ETF of all time, and it's also the fastest growing. The BlackRock ETF alone is worth $115 billion, 0 cents, which is pretty strange. A lot of value is moving through it, and BlackRock keeps buying. What will happen if you put the same amount of stress on an XCR ETF? Will the price stay at $2, 0 cents, or will it cost $5, 0 cents, or $10, 0 cents? Do you think the price will go up even more as there's less and less XCarp on the market? I don't know. BlackRock, Fidelity, Charwab, and other big investment firms are all putting all of their money into crypto. As Robbie Mitchnick, BlackRock's head of digital assets, put it, DeFi could be the most important change in the blockchain and digital assets environment right now, but it's also the area that is the farthest from being able to have wide adoption. That's why everything else has been a mix of chances and maybe dangers. Everyone in DeFi has to think about what this means for them if it does happen. That's why everyone is listening. So we're not quite there yet as far as banks and wealth managers are concerned, but that point is coming up very quickly at this point. Depends on the rules, but in the US, it's been hard to get all the officials like the Federal Reserve, the FIC, the FEX, and the SEC to agree on what needs to be done. I also think the Trump administration has done a good job of putting the right people in the right jobs. All I want is for more to be done to help US businesses. When this all started, I remember being told that they were going to focus on American cryptos. Now it's just, let's focus on Bitcoin, which I don't think will help anyone but the people who bought Bitcoin 5 or 10 years ago, since most people can't afford to buy a whole Bitcoin these days. It's clear that a lot of traditional research into this area took place in the early years, and banks and other trading institutions felt at ease there. But history has taught us that none of these private blockchain projects have been widely used or adopted in a way that makes business sense on a large scale. We can see that now that we look back at it, and that makes sense because a private blockchain limits the value proposition of blockchains. And this means that even for trading firms, public blockchains may not be the main thing they use. You know, it's interesting to hear that these bigger companies aren't really interested in private blockchains right now. That's definitely the way things are going. And in the last couple of weeks, there has been clear, positive regulatory advice that supports the idea that this is now a good area for even US banks to be involved in. It was also my goal to make it easy for you to understand the difference between public and private blockchain. I did some research. Could you please give me a list of the most well-known public and private blockchains? In the third quarter, Corda had trouble getting paying users to use their program. As a result, they had to fire some employees, and they're now facing new challenges. If we cut up our 3 cords and sold the pieces individually, that was the end of them. Interesting that IBM has its own Hyperledger fabric. You also talk about Quorum and Hyperledger Saw. Sawtooth is a cool dog name. After that came Taurus and Open Chain. I've never heard of these two, but the Ethereum and Expert Ledger are the most well-known public chains. Bitcoin, Bien Sultana, Avalanche by Cardano Polkata. This video clip has been watched by many people, and Stellar Tezos and Cosmos came up with some interesting results. I hope that was helpful. And I have a lot of other things to do, so don't go anywhere, Brad Garlinghouse. Some cool Robbie Mitchnick stuff. I got, check out these links to Ripple. Let's play this to get. This video clip is something I play a lot, but it has something to do with what we're talking about here. He is in charge of BlackRock and is telling us where this is going. If BlackRock announces a partnership with Ripple, it will be one of the biggest and most important groups. Also, if a relationship with Ripple is made public, just imagine what that could mean for the X Street price. It will change the whole environment. Ask me today where I think most of this value will end up, and I'll give you a few ideas. I told my guests that they would see a lot of this worth on each bar. The transcript system is stellar. Brad Garlinghouse has also dropped hints that have nothing to do with the story. I'll play one for you, so you'll be happy with an excerpt. I think there will be more than one ETF for each coin. You might even see ETFs based on groups, which would further spread out that risk. Are you in touch with the biggest lenders, especially BlackRock, to make this happen? I'm not going to say anything about that, but BlackRock has said in public that we believe it is best for the XRE. As a whole, the Ripple community knows that Ripple is a major player in the crypto. Before the SEC lawsuit, XRP was the second most expensive cryptocurrency. I think that most of the problems that came up because of that case have been resolved now. In the long term, though, these issues are about how to make these different digital products useful and actually solve problems in the real world. I think that over the past few months, as the XRP ledger and Scroop as a coin have become more clear, they have become more useful, which is why different companies are starting to set up their own strategic reserves. I want you to understand this. Every small business lender, it won't be 100% right away, but as more businesses do it, it will become the norm. This will cause a big turning point in the next few days. There will be a lot of pent-up demand, and when you get clarity and regulation that let people know it's safe to participate in the ecosystem, that will be a big turning point. I think that will be very strong when we get there. We're not quite there yet, but if Congress can figure out how to regulate crypto in a way that works for everyone, that will have a huge effect. Okay, here's one more clip. It took 37 seconds. Mike Robbie. Before we end, I have a few more things to say. Okay, then there's Hidden Road, Ripple Hidden. In the past, BlackRock built into Coinbase International, OKEX, Durbit, Bitfinex, Bullishation X, and 6 digital exchanges, including what I think is Sweden's digital exchange for different assets. While Michael Higgins, global head of business development for Hidden Road, talked about how important it is to use BlackRock's build all tokens for security, you might be wondering what other connections Ripple already has with BlackRock. You can be sure that BlackRock knows how important XRP will be to the new banking system. I think they were just waiting to make sure everything was set up for now. I think they are waiting for their customers inside BlackRock to